fall, y'all. Okay, guys, welcome back to another live session of my therapy garden. This is Webster. We're playing in the dirt. Help me take away the hurt. And I have my daughter here, Racine, with
Hello.
us today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the 2020 growing season. Okay, we're going to look at some of the successes that we have in the growing season. We're going to look at some of the failures that we have and how we can better grow. So, first, I want to welcome you to my therapy garden. Thank you to the many subscribers. Thank you during the growing season for all the questions, comments. Thank you for sharing the video, for inviting other people, because that's one way we can help the channel to grow. Thank you for the thumbs up. And let me know how we can do it better so we don't get any more thumbs down. Okay, guys? Help us to help the channel to grow. Okay, so again, welcome. I want to thank my family for their support and their love during this year. 2020 has been a trying year for us all, and we just want to make sure that we can finish the year with a sense of purpose. Um, it's been 3 years now since I retired from the Army, and this garden here, the therapy garden, is 2 years old. I know we have new subscribers coming every day, so we just want to point that out. So I remember that I'm not a trained horticulturist or a botanist. I'm just a retired soldier suffering from PTSD and who has used gardening as part of my therapy. All right, so let's talk about the gardening experience. It has been a great therapy for me, and I got lots of the subscribers say it's been a therapy for them also. You know, gardening is a therapy. It's exercise, and especially this year where we're pretty much on lockdown, which we couldn't go out to the gym and exercise. It was one way in which we could get our steps in. We could get our moving in. You know, we can move about, dig in the dirt, play in the dirt, you know, plant beautiful flowers and watch beauty grow. So it has been a good year. There's many successes, and of course there's also a few failures. Um, Success, I think one of the biggest success would be with the roses. Um, all of my roses, thank God, for this year that I planted, all survived. I got in the early part of the season, early spring, we got bare root roses, and they all survived. We got potted roses, they all survived. So roses is my number one success this year. Uh, and most of the other plants did pretty good. It was a mild summer, I would say. Of course, here in Georgia, it's always hot and humid, but most of the plants survive. We just have to keep on top of it, watering and watering. Um, if you're new to the channel, you would know that my garden here have very few trees. So it's pretty much a sun garden. So I'm trying to plant trees to get a few shades. I garden in a 7B, in a zone 7B, and we don't have a lot of shades. So a lot of the plants that we have would not survive in the hot Georgia sun. Okay.
Add the new Google widget right to your home screen and start your search faster. Just
All right. All right. That didn't work out too well. Okay, let's see who we have on our stream. Let's go. And go to a live discussion. Okay, and just a reminder, uh, please give a thumbs up to the video. And I just want to now welcome all that join in the live stream. Welcome to Art Maker. Thank you so much for joining us. Judy Fink, thank you. Desi GT, appreciate you joining us. We have, if I mess up your name, please forgive me. That's Mai Muciaro. Says hello from South California. You know, it actually rained yesterday. Oh, thank God you guys get rain. I know it's been very dry, and you had fire early in the season. Dolohem, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And Luis B. Okay, Luis B. Thank you. Again, as you join in, you know, you can give a shout out, and again, let us know where you're watching from. We have subscribers all over the world. It's an international family, Therapy Garden family, which I'm very proud of. You know, from Canada, of course, America, Australia, India. We have all over Europe, you know, New Zealand. Like I say, it's an international family affair. So I just want to thank you guys for joining in. Okay, we're looking at some of the, successes that we have as we talk about the roses. I try to have more perennial than annuals because, of course, you know, plant can be very expensive. So you want to make sure that your plant come back year after year. If you're new to gardening, when we talk about perennial, we're talking about those plants that you plant once. They might die, but they'll come back, or they'll stick around year after year. You know, season after season, these plants will be here. So I try to plant most perennials. I have a few annuals. I think for the most part, it's getting cold here as we're entering into fall. And we had our first freeze about 2 weeks ago, and most of the annuals really were wiped out, especially the coleus. All of the coleus die in that cold freeze. But like I said, you know, we try to have more perennial. For my failures, my number one failure, which I was so disappointed for, was my Cryptomera japonica. I had two, Cryptomera japonica Black Dragon, and they both died. One was on the conifer garden. You know, it just turned brown, died. We have another one in the rose garden, which also died. So very sad, very sad. I'm not sure what happened to it exactly. I don't know if Cryptomera japonicas have a short lifespan. I don't know if it received too much sun, too little water, too much water. I didn't amend the soil properly. I don't know. But as gardeners, plants will die. And of course, we're sad when a plant passed away. But that's just an opportunity to get more plants. It's an opportunity to get maybe stronger plants that can suit that position better. Because we know that a gardening philosophy is always right plants, right place. So we try to put the right plant in the right place. But we don't always have that right plant to put in the right place because our condition may not be perfect. And so we have to experiment. So gardening is also experiment to find the right plant that we can actually put in the right place. So plants will die. So, and a lot of people will give up on that. But I implore you, don't give up. If your plant die, it's an opportunity to get new plants. Other of my failure is my Japanese maple. Now, you know that Japanese maple is one of my all-time favorite trees. You know, beautiful foliage, especially in the fall when all the colors change. And I just love these nice dwarf, especially the cascading type. But like I said, I never see a Japanese maple that I don't like. And They struggle a bit in the hot Georgia sun. Um, and but actually, I only lose one. I only lose one. So all in all, it wasn't a terrible year for my Japanese maple. But you know, when it's your favorite, you don't want to lose any. But we lost a red Thomby Sentinel, which is an upright red leaf um, palmatum, a Japanese maple. So we lost that one. We lost a couple of, well, actually, we lost two small pine trees also in the conifer garden. We lost that curly leaf uh, pine. It's a Japanese white pine, mini twist. It's called the mini twist. We lost that one, and also one that's called green penguin. We lost that one. Okay, and let's see if we have any question so far. Art maker said freeze in Georgia. Wow, not here yet. Yes, we had our first frost, like I said, about 2 weeks ago. It's nicer now. You know, it lasts for about 2 days. We had frost for, like I said, most of my annuals, especially the coleus, really suffered. Most of the perennial just wilt for a little bit and came back. Okay.
Wait.
So this one said, Louis B, will you try again?
Okay, Louis B asks, will I try again? And that's with, try again. What was he asking for? Oh, with the plant. That, of course, like I said, when a plant dies, it's an opportunity to get another plant. You know, much to my wife's dismay. But it's an opportunity to get another plant. And I said, might get a more suitable plant for that spot. So we won't give up as gardeners. We'll try to get other plant to replace the plants that die. So I will not get another Japanese, the Cryptomera japonica. I won't get that one to put in that place because, of course, if it didn't survive there, I wouldn't want to replace the same plant in that place. But what I plan on putting is a Japanese black pine because I have a black pine on top of the hill, which is doing very good. So in the conifer garden, I plan on putting a Japanese black pine there. And on the rose garden side, I plan on getting a magnolia. Not the big southern magnolia. I'll get the dwarf one, magnolia, which is a much smaller tree. So that's what we'll get on the rose garden side. Okay? I want to welcome Mrs. Eyes, 512. Hello, friends. Hello, Mrs. Eyes. Thank you for joining us. Get one more, sweetie. Louis B. from Vancouver, Canada. Thank you for joining us. Okay, of course, our art maker, Pittsburgh. Yes, sweetie.
Art maker forever. I'm in Pittsburgh, PA.
Pennsylvania. Okay. All right. A.M. Bailey, thank you for joining us from New York. We have a pandemic greenhouse. 2 thumbs up. Thank you. Louis B. She asked, are you planning
on expanding your rose garden?
Yes. I plan on expanding my rose garden. I've been digging out the area to, expand physically the rose garden. And also, I'm getting more roses to plant, not only on that the south side where I have the rose garden, but also in the back. So I have a list of roses which I plan on getting. I got some of my roses from Jackson & Perkins, and I've been trying to get honey perfume. I finally ordered that from Jackson & Perkins. Honey perfume, I couldn't get that all of this year, but I finally got Jackson & Perkins. One of my subscribers was telling me about not JFK, Pope John Paul II, which is a white rose. And white rose is my wife's favorite color. My favorite rose is white roses. So we're gonna get that Pope John Paul II, which she said is a very fragrant rose. Go ahead, sweetie.
Okay. A.M. Bailey. How do I care for my snake plants?
Okay, A.M. Bailey, in New York, how do you care for your snake plant? Well, we have a video which we discuss house plant and snake plant in particular. We have a snake plant right here. But a snake plant is a very popular house plant because they are very durable, so to speak, and they're very forgiving. Um, if you overwater snake plant, they won't just up and die, and they can go for a long period of time with no or very little water. So the snake plant, all it requires is some light. So you put it close to a window. It doesn't necessarily have to be in direct light because the direct sunlight might scorch the leaves. Okay, so all it needs is some light. And if it's not a brightly lit area, it's okay. You can also have the snake plant and it will survive there. You require maybe once a week, or I would say once every 2 weeks, you give it some water. Give it some light, give it some water every 2 weeks. And that's it. Snake plant is very easy to care for. And there are different types of snake plant.
Okay.
Okay.
Mrs. Eyes 512. Oh, good. I love that orange color rose you have. May I suggest to plant more orange roses?
Okay, Mrs. Eyes. Okay, the orange roses or maybe apricot, like we have Lady of Shalott, which is an apricot colored rose on the climbing David Austin rose, and also Bathsheba, which is another climbing David Austin rose, and those smell so good. I love those roses. So I'm glad you like it too, Mrs. Eyes. We'll plan on getting more of that type of color, that apricot orange color rose that we have. Go ahead, sweetie.
Lay Shelton.
Ray Shelton. Mhm.
Lay Shelton. Good morning from Social Circle GA.
Okay, Social Circle in Georgia. Thank you for joining us, Leigh Shelton, a fellow Georgian from Social Circle. Okay, so if we miss anybody here. Okay, guys, I really appreciate you joining us. Okay, so we'll talk about some of our plans that we have for the garden. On one of the video, we talk about, well, we show an unboxing of some flowers that was given to us from Anne. Anne in Ohio. She gave us some irises. So I want to thank Anne for the irises. And now we just got, last week, we got some daylily from Anne. I really appreciate that, Anne. Excuse me. The irises, we have those planted around the fountain. Okay? And the daylilies we're putting in the new pollinators garden. Oh, by the way, I just found out that my birth month flowers is daffodils. Daffodils is my birth month flower. So I got a whole bunch of daffodil bulbs. And I ordered those from Brex. Okay, Brex, of course, is a supplier of quality bulbs from Holland. So I ordered some daffodils, some tulips from Brex. And I'm just so excited. And I can't wait to have those bulbs planted. And then, of course, in the spring, to have that early bloom of flowers. I planted some tulips last year and they survived. So I'll take a chance this year again. Like I said, I ordered tulips, I ordered daffodil, and what's this called? The grape hyacinth also. Okay? Yes,
Lay Shelton. Where do you purchase your Japanese maples?
okay, Japanese maple. I got some of my Japanese maple locally, okay, at my local nursery. And those tend to be the bigger ones. The smaller ones, I get those online. I bought them from Mr. Maple, mrmaple.com, and also from Conifer Kingdom, okay, coniferkingdom.com. And so the smaller Japanese maple, let me just show, here's me. We have some on the back porch here, which I have in pots because I don't want to chance them putting them in the ground yet. And this one is Amber Ghost right here. Hasn't started changing color yet. We have others in the pot. This is a lemon lime lace, the fine leaf dissectum. I can't wait for it to start changing. This should give you an orange color. We have a Mikawa Yatsibusa on this side. And we can see some changes, that red and orange changing of the leaves that we have here. This is Mikawa Yatsibusa. So I'll just quickly show you on the porch, and also we have a Kansai, Kansai Akagaruso. Show the name, so a Kansai Akagaruso, which is a red Acer palmatum, which is the leaves which kind of look like the 5 fingers of your palm, so they're called palmatum, as opposed to the fine leaf one, which are called dissectum. Okay, and then the other one, which changed color and fall off already, is an orangiola, So these Japanese maple, Mrs. Eyes, I got these from mrmaple.com. They are the bigger ones I have, like on the hill. Those are Crimson Queen and Tamukiyama, which I bought locally from the local nursery. What else we have, sweetie?
Okay. My Mercury. Have you planted bare stalk rose? If so, it is very different from planting a rose shrub.
Okay, so we have a question here. If I ever planted the bare stalk rose, which is a bare root rose? Yes. Most of my David Austin roses that I got, and in the video planting David Austin roses, you'll see how we planted our bare root roses. And a lot of times people are afraid of planting bare root roses, but I always say don't be afraid of bare root roses. They'll catch up just as fast as a potted rose. However, we know that bare root roses usually come out earlier in spring, and a lot of times it is still too cold. So if you're in the northern climate, you might get those bare root roses, but hold on to it like in your garage or somewhere which is warmer until it is very warm outside. So we're looking at about April, pretty much, before we start planting those bare root roses. But they do just as well. And most of my David Austin roses were shipped to me bare root. So I'm not afraid of planting bare root roses. Okay?
Okay. Mrs. Eyes 512. Is it too late to plant bulbs in containers?
Okay, Mrs. Eyes. Now is the ideal time to plant your bulbs. From your daffodils, your tulips, your hyacinth, your lilies. Fall is the ideal time to plant your bulbs. Planting them in container, it's a great time, and bulbs in container is great because then you can amend the soil, get the right potted soil, free draining. The only thing is maybe if you're in the northern climate and it's snowing and freezing outside, you might have to bring that pot in a sheltered area like on a porch, or you can wrap it with like a blanket or just blow leaves around it to insulate that pot. That pot might need a little insulation. but not roses, but your bulbs love that cool weather. You know, that's where they need that chill, that cool weather in which to, I guess, get all the nutrients in the bulb, use up all that nutrients. So when they start warming up, they can start coming alive. So if you're in a warm area, say like here in Georgia, I got my bulbs like 2 weeks ago, but it wasn't cold enough for me to plant them. So I kept them in the fridge for 2 weeks before I put them in the ground last week. And we have a video coming out later in this week about planting these bulbs.
Tom Christine got here late, so maybe you already said, but how long do you keep the Acer?
Okay, etc. in pots. Okay, so Tom Christiansen is asking how long I keep the Acer. That's a Japanese maple in pots. These are, I got these in my pots a year now. But because Japanese maple are slow growing trees, you can keep them in the pot for a very long time. And we know that a lot of acers are used in bonsai. Okay? So if you know the fine art of bonsai, you may be able to do that. Otherwise, I would suggest that you keep it in the pot until they start becoming more or less root bound. Okay, so your acer is growing, and it's getting big. Then you can once you start getting root bound, you upgrade it to a bigger pot and move it into a bigger pot. Or you can try that that bonsai method, where you take it out of the pot, trim the roots off, put new dirt in it, put it back in that same pot, and it will continue growing. Okay, so you can either step up in a bigger pot, or you take it out, cut the roots off, put it back in the same pot, and keep it growing. Or once you get too big, you put it in the ground. Okay, that's my intent. Once all my acers get big enough, and hopefully the trees outside in the yard are big enough to start providing some shade, I'll be able to put them in the ground.
Okay. Tom Christine.
Tom Christiansen.
Will you keep your pines in pots too?
Yes, and I have some pines in pot. These are topiaries that we have here. These are lemon cypress. Lemon cypress. I bought these at Lowe's, and I sculpted them into little topiaries, 3-ball topiaries, which I really need to redefine the bulbs. Okay, so these are lemon cypress, lemon cypress. And the thing with lemon cypress is that once you crush it, it smells just like lemon. It smells just like lemon. This, wait, stand. This black pine that we have here, the Japanese black pine, Thunbergii, Japanese black pine, Thunbergii. This is the one I'm going to take out of the pot and put this one in the conifer garden. I'm going to put this one in the conifer garden in another week or so to replace the Cryptomeria japonica, black dragon, that didn't make it. In pot, we have this little, I think it's a cedar. It's called whipcord. I refer to this little funky looking plant as my Bob Marley plant because they look like dreadlocks everywhere. Okay, it's a whipcord. That's the name of it, which is a type of cedar. So my Bob Marley plant right here. And also, my other tiny one here is an Abies, which means a fir, called Myers dwarf. Myers dwarf. Very tiny. So I'll keep these in the pot, or maybe about 3 or 4 years before putting them in the ground. So hopefully they'll survive, keep growing. It's a beautiful fir, and then we can transfer them from the pot into the ground. Okay. Wait, okay, Tom Christians is from Denmark. Hello from Denmark. Okay, like I was saying earlier, that my bulbs is from Brex. Brex is a supplier of fine bulbs from Denmark. So maybe Tom Christian might know about that. If not, then that's one way to go, Tom. That's what I use Brex for my bulbs. Okay, Mrs. Eyes. Okay, I will get busy with that. All right, so she can still plant her bulbs in her pot.
Yep. A.M. Bailey. Where can I purchase tall cactus for indoors?
Okay, A.M. Bailey, where can you get tall cactuses for indoor? Well, we won't rule out Lowe's and Home Depot. That's always our first choice. Lowe's and Home Depot. They have quality plants at an affordable price. Otherwise, you can check your local nursery. Check your local nursery. And if that fails, then you can also go online and get your tall cactus. The beauty of online now is that you can get, as long as you can afford that to pay the shipping, you can get as big a plant as you can afford, you know. So you'll get a big plant, you'll get a small plant, as long as you can afford the shipping. So yes, A.M. Bailey, you can get a big cactus, you can get a big acer, you can get a big pine or other conifer or any plant that you require online. If you can get at your local nursery or your Ace Hardware, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, your Walmart, you can always um, get it online. Okay, next one, Speedy.
Okay. Art Maker Forever. Do you put wire over your bulb? I don't, but I swear the squirrel watching the plant. No tulips in the spring.
Well, that's the thing. Art. Okay, I don't put wires over my tulips. But what I do, and of course, this year, squirrels love tulips. They'll dig up all your tulips and eat them. But they hate daffodils. So I'm pretty sure the squirrels can sniff out the difference between a daffodil and a tulip, but that's how I try to trick them. I intermix the daffodil with the tulips, okay? And so far, I have no problem. Um, what I have is mostly chipmunks, which pretty much is the same, and I'm pretty sure they might eat and dig up the garden just as much as a squirrel. But I mix my tulips and my daffodils together, and so far, you know, they don't trouble the tulips. But yes, as long as you plant squirrels, um, the squirrels will dig it up. And that's a good, and that's one of the reasons, as Mrs. Eyes want to put her bulbs in pot. That's a good way to start. Put your bulbs in pot. That way you can elevate it, or you can put wire over it so the squirrels won't eat that. Okay, go ahead, sweetie.
Dolo M.
Mhm.
How do you spell the name of the coming word about your bulbs? Thanks.
Okay, it's Brex. Brex, just like Brecks. Brex. Brecks. Brecks. Let me type it in. Brecks. Brex. Okay, and like I said, they're a supplier from Holland. Good quality bulbs.
Okay. find one. Two laughing face emojis. Squirrels are always busy.
Squirrels are always busy. Yes, squirrels, they'll dig your garden up. So a good thing also with your potted plants to put stones, fine stones on top of your potted plants. Pretty much like I have this. If your pots were outside, to prevent squirrels from digging it, you can put stones on top. I have these fine stones, although this is on the porch, just pure for decoration. But of course, if you do the same with your pot outside, then the squirrels won't dig into it as much. And the bigger the stones, of course, the better. So you can use stones as decoration for your pot so the squirrels won't be digging into your pot, or you could put wire mesh over it. Okay, Art Maker says Brex bulbs are awesome. I found 2 new ones this year, Van Gogh and Pittsburgh. Both are now here with me. Oh, awesome, awesome. Like I said, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about my bulbs. You know, the tulips and also the daffodils. So I can't wait for spring. I'm very excited about the coming growing season. Next one, sweetie.
A.M. Bailey, your co-host is doing a fabulous job. A future gardener, maybe?
Would you like to garden in the future, sweetie?
Sure.
Sure. And again, what's your favorite plant?
A rose.
A rose. Okay. You like the one that smell, or the one that?
I like the one that smells.
You like the one that smell. The strong fragrance roses, huh? What's your favorite color rose?
My favorite color rose is red.
The red ones. Okay. That's Daddy's favorite too. I love the red rose. Mom's favorite is what?
Red?
White. Okay. All right. So Art. Oh boy, daffodils! Here I come. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So they don't like the daffodils. Also, if you have good soil, also alliums, because we know that alliums is from the garlic family. The squirrels don't like the smell of garlic. So you can, that's another way to go. Get the allium bulbs and plant it with your tulips. That will keep them away. Next one, sweetie.
Art Maker Forever. They are so cute. You can't really stay mad at them.
Yeah, the squirrels are so cute. They're cute as long as they're not in my yard. Yeah, and that's the funny thing. We feed the squirrels. You know, we put the corns out there and feed them. But then we get mad at them when they dig up our bulbs, you know, and dig up the yard. But yes, they're cute. Okay.
Tom Christina, will you keep your grass/lawn or?
Okay, my lawn. Well, I'm pretty sure my neighbors will be mad with me, if I dig up all of the front yard and turn all of that into garden. So I have to keep, as per my HOA, I have to have some lawn space in the front. But I'm trying to carve out little areas, little islands of flowers. I'm trying to put in the front and all along the side. And of course, the backyard is my haven. I can do whatever I want in the back. So I'm slowly minimizing my grass footprint, especially in the back. You know, slowly I just start carving out different beds. As we talk about in previous videos about the pollinator's garden, we start with one pollinator garden over here, and over on the other maple, the red maple tree, we said, what should we do with that? And we did a survey, and most of you guys said we should call that a round pollinator's garden. So we have a second pollinator's garden, which we expand on that a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so yes, my lawn is getting smaller. I have to keep that lawn in the front, but I'm increasing my garden little by little. You know, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself and you're taking out all the grass at once. You know, so my bed, I just keep expanding it 1 or 2 foot at a time, little by little, make it bigger. Next one, sweetie.
Desi loves JT. GT.
Okay.
I noticed your new garden beds.
All right, sweet. All right, appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, I keep expanding a little bit. Art maker, I'm Italian, always garlic here. Oh, well, the squirrels don't like the garlic, so that's another thing you can do. Crush the garlic, put it out in the yard, and keep them away from your tulips.
Tom Christine, where would you like to go? Any gardens you would like to see?
Oh, Tom. Okay, the garden I would love to see is, drum roll, David Austin Rose. I think it's in Wolverhampton, in England. I think it's Wolverhampton, someplace in England. David Austin Rose Garden. That's where I want to go. David Austin Rose are just my all-time favorite rose. I love David Austin Rose. They're fragrant, they're disease resistant, they are just beautiful. They're, their leaves are glossy, dark green, and they come in just a rainbow of colors. You know, and the number one thing, that old-fashioned rose smell. Love it. So, David Austin Rose Garden, of course, I would love to visit that. I visit, I visited some beautiful garden when I was in Europe, when I was stationed in Germany. A couple of the palaces, of course, Versailles, uh, the one in Amsterdam, that palace, King Louis. Oh man, a lot of garden in Europe, beautiful, beautiful, which I have visited, but I didn't get a chance to go to England, so I would love to go to the David Austin Rose Garden. That's my number one garden. That's on my bucket list. That's on my bucket list. Okay, guys. Okay, we keep the comments coming and the questions. We talk about, while we get more questions in, talk about garden plans. And one of the big plans for this year was to install a fountain, a water feature. And of course, guys, just remember, always give a thumbs up if you like the video, and thumbs up, you know, comments and questions, drop a line down below and we can talk about it. So the big thing was to get our water feature in, and we got the fountain in. Anne from Ohio has gifted us with lots of irises, which we plant right around the water fountain. Which are going to be just beautiful later in spring. We should turn it on. So we have lots of irises all around. And we talk about expanding the garden bed. So this is the original pollinators garden. So we're expanding the bed here. So we should be planting daylilies along here, gift from Anne, with my daffodils. So this is gonna be a daylily and daffodil bed. Okay, the tulips are gonna be in the front, and in the rose garden we're gonna put the tulips. But yes, gradually we are expanding the garden. Okay, so just a walking tour as we walk and talk. So, oh, the Tulip Festival in Kufenhof. In Kufenhof, that would be real nice to see.
Lay Shelton, love your your water fountain.
Okay, thank you, Lay. Okay, I can't wait to see your garden again in the spring. Like I said, I'm very excited about that. I can't wait for spring. I have so much plans for the garden. Um, with the new pollinators garden, um, just gonna be awesome. We got a lot of daylilies over there. We got a lot of echinacea that we're putting in there. Of course, along with daffodils, tulips, lilies. Okay. Um, one of the things I plan on doing also is stepping stones. You know, I want to put some stepping stone in the garden. That's my plan for the next season. You know, get some hardscape in because my grass where I walk, you know, because I'm an active gardener. I'm out every morning. Um, so, you know, as I walk in the grass, you start having that footprint, that bare spot in the lawn. So I plan on getting some stepping stone in, so we can keep the grass lush and step on the stone instead of trampling down the grass. Uh, what other plants we have? Of course, new plants. I have a list of roses that we need to get. I said we're getting a honey perfume, which is highly fragrant. We need at least two more climbing roses. I got two trellises, which I plan on getting, two David Austin climbing rose and clematis. We're going to be on those. We have, I'm into the dark purple, bluish looking color of the roses. I like those, which is it's just totally different. So I have Marvelous. I just planted Marvelous. Hebtide. I just planted Hebtide. And also, what's the other dark purple one? I have another dark purple in the front, which I just planted last week. But like I said, the roses do well. So I'll keep the rose garden going. It's a lot of work because you have to spray and all of that, but that's okay, you know. Roses, I always say, is the queen of flowers. You know, yes, they can be a little diva at times, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So, you know, they survive well in the hot, humid Georgia weather. So I'll keep on expanding and experimenting with roses as much as I can. Okay, Julie Fink, I guess, been to that tulip festival in Kufenhof. She said it's amazing. Great. Okay, if you just join us, please, as you check in, just tell us where you're from again. Give the video a thumbs up and put your question or your comments so we can keep the discussion going. All right, other new plants, of course, are still, I want to get more trees for the hill. So, you know, trying to get more conifers and, of course, more aces.
Art make
Art maker forever.
Webster, do you have
Peonies.
peonies? I don't remember.
Okay, art maker. Yes, I have peonies, which I plant the corm last year when I just started gardening. Or the year before actually, I planted the corms, and they came up, but they did not flower. And you guys were telling me that maybe I buried them too deep, that they were planted too deep because just like irises, the corm just have to be just below the ground, you know, maybe an inch or so just below the ground. And maybe I buried too deep, and that's why I didn't get any flower. And another subscriber was saying it might take about 3 years to get flowers. So I plan on lifting my peonies later on in the year. Just dig it down, lift them closer, and hopefully I'll have peonies flower this spring. If not, I'll just go ahead and just buy a big peony, but I didn't have any luck with peonies. But I love peonies. I love fragrant flowers. Okay.
Tom Christine, which are the native plants to Georgia?
Native plants to Georgia. Well, of course, tree-wise, would have oak. Like I have a small oak tree in the back here. Um, I think Georgia has the most oak. They're like there are like 35 different types of oak, and in Georgia we have like 20, 28 of the 35 species of oak here in Georgia. So oak trees. Azalea, we have native azalea, and I have a couple on top of the hill. I have Tallulah Sunrise and Alabama Magic. Alabama Magic. I know it's Tallulah Sunrise, Alabama something, the other one. But these are native azalea. And with the native azalea, they are very fragrant. And in the fall, their leaves turn red. So they give you that fall interest. But come winter, all the leaves fall off. Okay? But in spring, the twigs, it set the buds, and just these twigs will just come alive with all these big flowers. See, the twigs will just be covered in azalea blooms, which is just beautiful, right? So yes, native azalea we have here in Georgia, and other natives, of course, like echinaceas and other native plants. But those are the big ones that I can remember, like your oak and your native azalea. And up in the mountains, you have different type of what we call rhododendrons, but they're still azaleas, I guess. Yes, sweetie? Okay. Okay, yes. The azaleas, the native azaleas only bloom once. Okay, they only bloom in the spring. But I also have encore azalea, which bloom in the spring and again in the fall. And those are encore azalea. And I have my azalea on top of the hill. I don't have a lot. I intend to get more. So in spring, the hillside will be covered with azaleas. I intend to get more azaleas. All right, Maker said, hang on. I waited 3 years for mine to bloom. It's worth the wait. Okay, thank you. So next season should be the 3rd year of my peonies. So that's what I'm hoping, that the peonies will bloom in the 3rd year. But like I said, I'll try and lift them a bit so they can get more of the sun to bake the roots of the peonies, because that's what I hear is required. You have to have it just above the soil a bit so the sun can bake it, because they like that. And then they'll flower. So in the 3rd year, we'll have peonies. So I'm so excited about 2021, to see what the garden is doing and the direction in which the garden is going. All right, guys. All right, so any other questions we have? Okay, let's just see if I miss anybody here. My little helper is gone. So again, I just like to thank everybody who's watching, and for those who may have missed this live stream, hopefully you can catch the replay and watch. And any questions you have during the growing season, just email, not email, just in any of the video, ask a question. I answer all the questions, answer everything. You can also catch us on our Instagram, my.therapy.garden, or on Twitter at My Therapy Garden. Just take the N off, so My Therapy Garden without the N on Twitter. And we can discuss all things garden. Okay, guys, so we would just like to thank you all for joining us as we talk about the garden, successes that we have in the garden, some of the failures, what do well, what didn't do so good, and the direction in which we're going with the garden, the plans that we have. We hope to expand, the rose section, get different varieties of rose. We now have lots of dahlias from Anne, and also irises, just just want to thank Anne so much for gifting the therapy garden, you know, with these beautiful plants. You know, will increase our pollinators garden because I just love the wildlife. You know, birds, bees, the butterflies. You know, they're just so beautiful, fluttering like, you know, artwork, just fluttering artwork in the garden. The sound of nature in the garden, you know, keep the garden alive. The birds, you know, always singing in the background. So, if there are no more questions, guys, there's a question here. What that's really? Which one? Okay, so he said there's a question. He said, please do a live stream again. It is great to meet you live. Okay, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you. And Jennifer Asadu says hi, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. Do we miss any more, sweetie? Okay, Judy Fick, do lilacs do well in your area? You know, I would say no, Judy. Although the Atlanta Botanical Garden has lilac, I haven't seen any in people's home or any of the local gardens around our parks. It's just in the botanical garden. So I think maybe it's too hot and humid. When I was in the Seattle area, lots of lilacs up there because it's much cooler. But I think it's too hot and humid here. I planted lilacs, they didn't make it. So I don't think that lilacs will do very well in my 7B slash 8 zone in which I garden. Do you miss any, sweetie? Okay. All right, guys. So again, thank you so much for spending time with us, and we'll have another one. Okay, Miss P. Hello, Webster. Do you grow tulips? Okay, Miss P. Thank you for joining us. We our tulips. We planted a couple of bulbs of tulips, and we have more coming, which I said I ordered from Brex. That's where I got my bulbs for this year, which is online. Brex is from Holland, and that's where I got my bulbs. I got tulips, I got daffodils, I got hyacinth, and lilies, both type of lilies, oriental lilies, and the Asiatic lilies. So that's for my bulbs for this growing season. Is from Brex, Brecks. Okay, can't wait to see them. Okay, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yes, sir. So we're in zone 8B, which is close to my 7A. Like I said, I'm in 7B. I'm in a 7B, zone 7B slash 8. Okay, so our growing condition there, Tom Christiansen, is very similar, and you're in Denmark. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, we can do, if we can do another live stream, we'll try maybe in December to do another live stream, and we'll quickly do a walkabout. We'll do that one as a walkabout in December. I know there won't be a lot happening, and I'd just like to finish the live stream with just a taste of the walkabout, because the garden still have lots still happening in the garden. Although, you know, a lot of the color, from the color changing in fall to a lot of the leaves falling off, but we still have a few blooms left. So we'll do a quick walkabout, and then in December our live stream will be a walkabout where we can look at pretty much the holes in the garden, because a lot of stuff gonna die, and we can see where we need to put different stuff. Like I said, your garden have to be 4-season. You want to make sure that you have greenery, some form of greenery, conifers or evergreen in the garden, so there's something there even in December. So that's what we want to look at, what we have in the garden in December. So we're going to do a live stream because I believe in a true garden. I don't want to just show the pretty flowers in May or June, and then we pretend that the garden is always like that. No, this is not a park or a botanical garden where everything is kept pristine. You know, this is a real garden with real working people, you know, with busy lives, still finding time to garden. So I want to show you the good and the bad part of the garden. So we're going to look at it in December, which would be December. January is the hardest period for the garden, and we look at it at that time when we'll do another live stream. But we'll just finish here for now, guys. Another quick question from Leigh. Sheldon, do you use a tiller to dig your beds? I don't use a tiller because although my beds are now big, they didn't start it that way. So I use a fork, the old-fashioned way, because I started about like 2 feet, and then as time go on, I might add another 2 feet. So I didn't think of actually getting a tiller, to rent a tiller or anything like that to dig into it. So I use a fork to dig into the ground. I use my shovel to remove the grass. So the old-fashioned way. So if I was thinking of just doing this garden all at once, then yes, I could get a tiller and do all of that. But I go little at a time, you know. So I wasn't overwhelmed. And it's the same thing, you know. I want to implore you guys, don't overwhelm yourself by just saying, hey, I want all of the back of the hill to be a garden and I'm going to go out there and tackle it. Tackle it in small bits, you know, maybe a 2-foot strip, and then after a couple of months you do add another 2-foot strip to it until eventually you have a big enough area. So like I show you outside there, my pollinator's garden was maybe about 4 feet, and now I add another 2 feet to it to make it a bit bigger. The same thing with the rose garden, the conifer garden, all around. I keep expanding, so you don't have to overwhelm yourself by trying to get a big garden at one time. If you have the means to do that, by all means, yes, go ahead. If you have the time and the money. But if you're a working person, you know, regular lives, family and all of that, then you might have to go a little bit at a time. And it's more enjoyable that way. So you can actually enjoy digging in the dirt. You know, otherwise you're gonna be too tired afterwards. You're gonna be like, oh no, I can't do this anymore. You know, so a little bit at a time so you can enjoy it. Okay, do you have snow there? Well, we might get snow maybe once, maybe for one day, maybe 2 days. It gets cold here in Georgia, but the snow don't stick around. In the mountains, you might have more snow, but here, just outside of Atlanta, maybe one day for in winter, maybe late December, early January, might have a 1 day or 2 day of snow, but that's it. No prolonged snow. I so enjoy your garden and your video. Keep up the great content. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. And Kelly will make sure we show those urns that you talk about, because I was Kelly. We were talking on Instagram about, you know, plants for the garden, and I told her that I have potted plants on the porch and of course in the house, but outside I never get into potted plants outside. And but I just started getting into that, and I got 3 big urns, but I put conifers in them and like pansy around it or creeping jenny. And so I said I'll be sure to get pictures and put that on Instagram. So as I see Kelly joining us here, I just remember that. And that's another way of gardening, you know, in containers. So I want to get all facets, all areas of garden, container garden, you know, no dig method, all of that. You know, with time, try every area of gardening. And that's why in my videos, I show you different ways in which we can garden using different things, like my Spanish moss that I put on my oak tree. You know, I have little in container. I have little Scotch moss that I grow in container. You know, so it's not all about just roses. Roses are great, you know, but different ways in which we garden. Okay, could you do a walkabout as to light in the garden, how you incorporate light. Well, okay, for light, okay, and the next one first. I've got the red clay too. Oh man, the clay, I have the heavy red clay here, and that's why I mend my soil. And in my videos, you see me with this big bin that I take that clay out of, and then I'll add um, my topsoil and compost manure to it. But on my rose garden side, that's the that's the south side of the garden. You get a whole lot of sun, a lot of sun. So the roses do well on that side. Lots of light. My potted plants, of course, since they're in pot on the porch, I can move those around. If they're getting too much sun, I move it. If they and then put them in the shade so they can recuperate. That's the beauty of potted plant. Of course, for the indoor plants, then we can you can always move those around. But we're gonna do a quick walkabout, and then we can wrap it up. Thank you, and see you in December. All the best to your family. Thank you, Miss P. Okay, so the wife said I should just sit here and thank everybody before we do the walkabout. So she's the producer, director. Okay, so okay, baby. So So in today's live stream, we just kind of recap what we did in the garden. Some of the successes and failures in the garden, and we answer some questions. So I'd like to thank everybody that joined us in this stream. Thank you, Miss P, Tom Christiansen. Thanks for being here, all the way from Holland. Leah Sheldon, thank you. Kelly, it's always a pleasure. Judy Fix, thank you for joining us. Mai Muchiaro, sorry if I mess it up, but thank you for joining us. Art Maker Forever, I appreciate you spending time with us. Jennifer Asedu, thank you. Desi Loves GT, thank you for joining us. Leah Sheldon, okay, Tom. A.M. Bailey, thank you for spending time with us. Dola M, always a pleasure. Mrs. Eyes 512, thank you for joining us again. Smile with Love, I appreciate you spending time with us. Pinky Go Easy from UK, thank you. Louise B, thank you for joining us. The Pandemic Greenhouse, thank you for spending time with us. Louise B, thank you. Okay, so there's a GT. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today in this live stream. And we'll do another one in December. We will just do a walkabout looking at the garden. So before we go, I'd just like to do a quick walkabout. And whatever you see, if you send a question, we'll try and answer it quickly as we go. Okay, and thank you for your military service. I appreciate that. Okay, so we look at the back porch here. It's the sedum. Like we said, we keep the head up for the sedum because the birds and all that, the wildlife still come and forage on it. And that's right by the back porch. This is a dwarf Alberta spruce. We got a 3-tier topiary. The pollinator's garden right here, which we are expanding. The Spanish moss in our live oak tree right here. And from here, we'd look towards the rose garden. But just a pan here in the back.
Some Christians say, what will you not plant?
What will I not plant?
What would you not plant?
I would plant every plant. Okay, so we have the fountain here. And this area in the back garden, we said can always use more roses. So this is one area I think I'll expand with more roses.
Did they talk about the lilac?
This beautiful rose here, this is Morris Utrello. A beautiful rose there.
Do lilac do well in your area?
Yeah, they don't. The lilac doesn't do too well in this area. This is a Queen Elizabeth II. Beautiful pink rose. See, we still have butterfly weed. And the bees still keeping busy on that. A nice Tropicana still flowering there. That rose, Tropicana. This is a tree gardenia, Gardenia vechae. We just expand this area of the back garden. And we have some tulips, daffodil, and daylily planted, which we need to finish mulching this area.
Who doesn't need light? We call light. I'm just trying to say.
He's talking about the light for the garden.
Okay.
Kelly was asking about the urn. So this is a mugo pine that we have here. It's called our winter gold. It have the golden highlights on it. Surrounded by pansies. Maybe more buddleia, attract more butterflies. I didn't plant any buddleia. My neighbors have buddleia, so I didn't get buddleia planted because I want to have something different. So I keep mostly butterfly weed. But maybe this year, in the second pollinators garden right here, yeah, we can maybe get some buddleia in here. See all the echinacea that we have in the new round pollinators garden. More sedum and joe pye weed. And we keep the joe pye weed because the birds come, especially the finches, they come and take this little soft area to feather their nest. So I didn't cut it down, I leave all that up so they can use the seed plus a little soft, puffy things right there. Use that to feather their nest on the joe pye weed. Lots of day lilies with the names. Gift from Anne. Beautiful red maple here. And from here we can see the conifer garden. Here you have no light, right? Okay, more buddleia. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll get a different type of buddleia. I saw they have a yellow buddleia. Like I said, my neighbor has, but she has the purple one. So I'll try the yellow one, see if that one would would be different from the neighbors. You know, because give the butterflies something different. My other urn. And this is called Barima Gold, which is a golden incense cedar. You know, you break it, smell just like incense. Smell like incense. Surrounded by creeping jenny, called gold eye, creeping jenny. Okay, so that's the back garden. And if we look on the hill, we can see some of the color changes. The Japanese maple is a beautiful tamukiyama. It's overcast today, so the sun isn't shining as bright, but hopefully you can see the nice red highlights in this tamukiyama, Japanese maple. And if we look, we can see all the colors on the hill. Okay guys, we'll do, for the next video, we'll do a walkabout and we'll talk about everything that we have. So that's a look at the hill garden. From My Therapy Garden, this is Webster. We're playing in the dirt. That will take away the hurt. So thank you for joining us live today as we look at the garden and discuss plans that we have for the coming season. If you like the video, please remember, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos are posted. Subscribe, tell your friends, family, and everyone you meet about My Therapy Garden, because that's one way we can help the channel to grow. From my garden to yours, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next video, and we'll have another live stream in December. We're playing in the dirt, have to take away the hurt. Bye for now, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.